The internet is undefeated. And let me tell you, you do not have to be on the internet long to realize that. You go on to maybe a site like Reddit or a site like Twitter or some of these other places, and you realize really quickly that the internet is not only undefeated, it's going to remain undefeated. So when we saw Boots Ennis make this announcement about who his next opponent is going to be, Karen Chukhadzhian. I'm probably not even saying that name correctly, but Karen Chukhadzhian. Dude, the internet tore into that. They were just look through some of the comments. You see some of the memes that started to get posted. Everybody's talking about how Boots is going to get to punch a Karen in the face, and everybody's going through all of these memes that we have showing, you know, the stereotypical Karen, right? The one who's going out there and sticking her nose in everybody's business and just overall making everybody's life a hard time. Everybody who's out there trying to enjoy themselves and have a good time, sticking her nose right in their business where it doesn't belong, trying to bring all the fun down, right? And they are just going on and on about it. Dude, the comments were hilarious. They were roasting them. So after I got past that, I started to think right away, like, man, who is this guy? I've never heard of him, right? And right away, I start to go down the path and start to think, like, this is just a tune-up fight. It's just a stay busy fight. You see that he's getting on the Gervonta Davis undercard, so it's one where he wants to go out and make a good showing. There's going to be a lot of eyes on it, all of that type of stuff. So that's the path that I start to go down. That's what I start to begin to think when I see this announcement, because to be perfectly honest, never heard the name before, never heard of the guy whatsoever, not on the radar at all. Then I go and I look at the tape on him, and well, I didn't look at the tape first, right? First of all, threw his name into Google, jumped on BoxRec, because that was a good place to see the records, see that all of his fights, he's from Ukraine, all of his fights are in Ukraine, I think except for one, which was in Russia. Okay, fair enough. So this is just an Eastern European fighter. I mean, I hate to classify everybody like that, but he's an Eastern European fighter who stayed over there fighting in Eastern Europe. Now, one thing is he's still young, 26 years old. So if a guy's going to make his break, maybe he doesn't have a storied amateur career. He's not coming over that way. He's got to earn his way up the hard way, you know, earning a name through the pros. And eventually he's going to get this chance. And maybe that's what this is. This is his chance, right? Everybody needs a shot. Everybody needs a chance. Everybody has to have that one time when somebody taps him on the shoulder, gives him a lucky break, lets him say, hey, now's the chance to see if all that hard work paid off. Now's the chance to see if you're going to be able to compete at the top level. And maybe this is his chance. Fair enough, right? Got to look at the guy anyways. Got to break down the film. So I start to look at it. Now, first thing you notice, not exactly easy to find a lot of fight footage on this guy, but I was able to look at him for a few fights. And instantly I noticed the man knows how to fight. Make no mistake about it, he's no stranger to the sweet science. Dude, you go in there, he knows how to work a jab. He moves around very well on his feet. He knows how to throw a 1-2. He knows how to counter really well. I was impressed with the counter punching for two reasons. Number one, how crisp it is, and the timing. But number two, he can counter two ways, right? Your basic ways, he can counter on a 1 beat, he can counter on a 2 beat. Now, what I mean by that on a 1 beat is you're punching with your opponent. So, for example, easiest way to look at this, your opponent's throwing a jab. You want to counter that jab. Countering on a 1 beat or punching with your opponent is as soon as he starts to throw that jab, you are immediately throwing your counter shot so that both of those punches are happening at the same time. Think about if he throws a jab and you're coming over the top of it with a right hand at the exact same moment, right? It's just as soon as you see that left shoulder twitch, you're coming right over the top with it. That's countering on a 1 beat. Countering on a 2 beat would be the easiest way to think about that is a catch and counter. Guy throws a hook, you come back with an uppercut. He throws a hook, bang, you catch it, and you come right back with your own uppercut. Perfect example. Now, there's a million ways to do each one depending on who you are, what you excel at, what geography you're at in the ring, who you're fighting against, all those things. But he showed both of them right away. Highly impressed with that. He's very, very fleet of foot. He moves around very easily on the balls of his feet. Knows how to get in, knows how to get out, knows how to control the range when he wants. Uses a lot of head movement. Very slick, moves his waist very well. All really good stuff. Knows how to, his punches are crisp, timing's good, very impressive. Passes the eye test in every way you can imagine, right? And what I mean by that is when you're watching him fight, when you're looking at him just straight with your eyes, he passes all the tests, he shows all of it. Now here's the catch. He has never fought anybody. I mentioned how he's been over, all his fights have been in Ukraine except for the one which I believe was in Russia. Hasn't fought anybody over there who's of note. Hasn't fought anybody that you would want to talk about. Hasn't fought anybody who's impressive. And oh, by the way, those unimpressive guys have been able to connect on him. He did get dropped once, at least once, in what I saw. Like I said, the footage is hard to find. Don't know if he got dropped in the past in some of his older fights, but I saw him get dropped once in just some of the fights that I got. Now, he was able to come back and end up winning that fight. Nevertheless, we're talking about unskilled guys, unheralded guys, guys that are fighting over there with no name, guys that we don't even have English translations for the broadcast. I'm listening to it in whatever language it was being broadcast in. I don't know, Russian. I can't tell. But my point being, this is the caliber of a guy who are landing clean shots on him. Now, he wasn't hurt with a lot of these shots. The majority of the time, he's just catching them. He's just going. So you think maybe he's got a chin. I don't know if the guys he's fighting has any power. But here's the thing. Being very slick with your feet, great. Being very slick with your head movement, great. Relying on that 100% and not having sound fundamentals from the basic standpoint of keeping your hands up. That's not going to fly when you're fighting the best in the world, man. Who do you think you are, man? Pernell Whitaker? Come on, dude. You're coming out here and you're trying to compete in an absolute shark tank at 147 pounds. You're going to be out there trying to slip and slide, moving around all slick, not even keeping your hands up against a guy like Boots Ennis. Against what? Errol Spence, against Terrence Crawford, against who do you exactly think, if we're looking at top 5 fighters, that you're going to do that against, and it's going to work to the point where you're going to win the fight? I don't even think you're going to make it out of the fight. I think you're going to get stopped most likely. And I don't think this guy has another gear. It's what we've seen time and time and time again. We're seeing some training videos coming out of him now. He's in training camp getting ready for this fight. It's the exact same thing. He's working with his trainers and with the mitts, and everything's about the head movement, hands down by your waist. I get it, man. Maybe this dude thinks he's Nassim Hamed. He's just gonna come out with some crazy off the wall shots, catch people that aren't looking, they're not expecting it. He's gonna catch Boots. He's gonna end the fight. I doubt it. Highly doubt it. Don't even know what the line is on this one, but man, it's gonna be crazy because although this dude passes the eye test, and although he has a lot of skills, and although he knows how to fight and has a ring IQ and all these types of things, he's done it against nobody. Boots has done it against much better competition. He's much bigger. He's much stronger. Dude, I couldn't even find the reach for this guy. All these fights that I see, they show the tail of the tape. None of them had the reach. They've got height, age, weight, name. That's it. Couldn't even find the reach for this guy. But Boots is big, man. 74-inch reach. I'm willing to bet that he's got a bigger reach or a longer reach than Chukhadzhian. I'm willing to bet that he's going to be able to establish that jab because he's got a very good jab, man. He's going to go out there and he's going to get it working. I think he can get it working from orthodox or the southpaw stance, which is another wrinkle that he brings to this. But I don't think Chukhadzhian is going to be able to take that jab away. He may try. He may try coming over the top of it, right? Counterpunching is something he likes to do. He may try leaping in with that hook. He tries to throw counterpunches sometimes with combinations, but he stays on the center line when he does. Good luck. You know, if he starts to attempt to take Boots' jab away, Boots has a very high ring IQ. I would fully expect him to then set a trap and counter the counter, right? Maybe, for instance, fake like you're going to throw a jab out there, attempt to draw the counter out from Chukhadzhian, and then react to that. Try and draw that right hand, catch him with a check left hook. Boots has a great left hook. Or maybe you just throw a lazy one out there, hoping that he's going to come with something. And as soon as you see that tell, immediately react to it and try and beat him to the punch. Like, dude, there's a lot of things you can do, right? Put your hands up high, try to get him to come down low and hit him with, and catch him with a hook that way. Just bait him into certain things. Boots is he's the bigger fighter. He's the stronger fighter. He's got far more power, dude. We see this devastating run he's been on. He's going in there. He's smoking guys. Lipinets, Delorme, Clayton. Just the list goes on and on and on of all these guys that he's hitting and he's doing damage to him. All these guys that he's hitting and that he's hurting. And we see him out of the different stances with the jab. We see him go to the body. We see him with the hook. We see him with this right hand. The chopping right hand has done work for the last couple fights for him. So look, when I think about this one, here's how I imagine it playing out. As I mentioned, Chukhadzhian has some skills. And when he comes out, particularly early in the fight, that's when it's going to show. Now, Boots, man, this dude doesn't have... All he knows, it appears, is how to come out there and just make things happen. He doesn't really fight with... I mean, I don't know. On the one hand, he never fights like he's rushing things, but he ends these fights so quickly, it's tough to say that he fights with patience. It's like he's doing it perfectly in a way, right? I hate to apply that thing because it's not perfect, but he's doing it perfectly in the sense that he's fighting patiently, yet as soon as he sees opportunities or as soon as he sees the ability to create a gap or an opportunity, he immediately takes it. He doesn't wait. He's not going to be sitting in there trying to download the information for a few rounds like maybe you say Terrence Crawford or Lomachenko or a guy like that who clearly and specifically waits to make things happen. That's not the way Boots fights. Who knows? Maybe as he starts to step his competition up, he'll have no choice but to attempt to step back a little bit. But for the time being, the thing is, this guy gets you in trouble. This guy sees an opportunity. He's not going to allow you to get some rounds. He's not going to, if you just want to chill, he's not going to let you. Right? The best example I could think of as a guy like that was Guillermo Rigondeaux. Incredibly skilled, incredibly talented fighter. But if you didn't push the action, you could get some rounds out of him. If you didn't want to be the aggressor, he was going to kind of just work that jab out there and catch you with some little left hands every now and then. As soon as you attempted to turn it up, dude, he was going to come with some crisp counter punches. He was going to try to turn your lights out. But if you weren't aggressive, if you just went into a defensive mode, if you just attempted to survive, you could get some rounds out of him. That's not the way Boots fights. So when I think about it, Chukhadzhian's skills are going to shine the most in the beginning. It's when he's going to be the most crisp. It's when he's going to be the fastest. It's when he's going to be able to present everything for the first time to Boots. It's going to seem brand new, right? It's when he is fleet of foot. He can move. He can work some things. But as soon as Boots makes an adjustment, as soon as he feels that power, as soon as the things that he does don't start to work. Maybe he thinks I'm gonna attempt to take the jab away, it doesn't work. Or maybe he thinks I'm gonna get my jab going and he can't quite get it going. Maybe he thinks, I'm gonna be able to primarily use my defensive movements are gonna be based on my head movement, and he realizes, dude, I'm trying to use this head movement. This guy's getting his jab off. He realizes that he can't shut the jab down. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna work around that? How are you gonna so you're not constantly getting stuck by it, breaking up your rhythm where you can't get anything going. So that's where I think when all of those things start to unfold, that's where I think he's going to start to get shut down. I don't think he's going to have those adjustments to be made. Don't think he has those gears. I just think he's going to start to get overwhelmed at that point. Now, do I think he makes it out of the fight? Probably not, man. Probably not. Probably not. I think we'll probably see. Who knows? Boots could turn it up anywhere from early in the second round to the 5th, 6th round. And then all of a sudden we start to see him put some great work in and we see him get this guy out of there. I mean, he's incredibly talented. He's got everything going for him. He brings it to the table. His stock continues to rise with every performance that we see. And now we're sitting here on bigger and bigger cards. So super, super excited to see what he brings. I think he comes out of this one with another impressive victory. Last one he goes out there, he's talking about reeling in the big fish. Who's he going to call out this time? I mean, we already know that the biggest names out there who are already established, who are older than him, who've been doing it for a while, they've got no interest in fighting this young, hungry, beastie dude. And I get it. Why would you? Your biggest paydays are going to be somebody else. But that doesn't mean that he's not there knocking on the door. So I'm always incredibly interested to see what he brings. How's he going to look in this one and what he brings next? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think there's a way that Chukhadzhian can, maybe he's bringing in that unknown ability and that can give Boots trouble for a little bit? Maybe he just gets steamrolled from round one. What do you think is going to be next for him? Let me know what you guys think.